Good morning. It is 9 o'clock and it is time to start the 2025-2027 CBYS RFA pre-bid conference. So before we get started this morning, I just want to say thank you for joining us. The way that this pre-bid conference was set up was question and answers. So questions that were submitted to the CBYS email address. We got very few. We got one primary. So what I thought I would do is also open it up for questions, but I'm going to start with the first one that was submitted. So we will go into that, and then I will also go over the RFA a little bit. And then if there are additional questions, then we'll take some of those. This is being recorded, both the 9 a.m. and the 3 p.m. We will post these to the OJA website. And I will show you where those are located shortly with the RFA, where we will post those at. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So the question that we did receive through the CBYS email is, if submitting the 2021 RFA with updates, which table do we use? Revised or original submitted with the 2021 RFA? It was a little bit confusing. So what you would do is you would submit the 2021 RFA with all of the attachments that you originally used. Just update those attachments with anything that's changed since the time that you submitted the 2021. As you'll recall, throughout the 21 year and then the following continuation years, you were just updating those years. So you would just continue to update those tables and submit those to us with that original application updated. So that is an option this year. We were hoping that would continue. We want this to be a living document, not something that you just submit to us once and it be done. It really is about a needs assessment process.
Sorry, I just saw it, went and did it. I should have been.
Okay. So that is the question that we got. So I'm going to take us to the OJA website now, and that was the only question that we received in the OJA CBYS email today, or this week by the deadline, and we actually didn't have any after that either. So I'm going to take you to our website so we can take a look at where everything is at. When you go to the website, you will access it by going to community-based services, go to your youth service agency information, and then you will see requests for applications right here, showing that it is now open. You will notice that the dates are all matching May 29th. It also matches the RFA, which can be accessed here. And all of the documents can be found right here. We will also post these recordings of the pre-bid conference. So there are 3 parts to the new RFA manual. All of the information that was submitted to you for this new application period is the same information that you had in your previous application period. It's just condensed and looks a little bit different, so there's not such a large document. Hopefully making it more concise for you all, easier to use. I know the form fields were difficult when you originally did the process, so we wanted to simplify that for you as well. So you'll see below that there are tables, there's a plan timeline, your stakeholder and community feedback forms, your missing voices, your data mapping. Table 5 is a combination of several tables that felt redundant. And then we did one that was specifically for first-time offender programming. That is just because that is one of your core services. And it's an example to use. You'll actually do one of these combination tables for each program that you do. And so that all of the instructions are in part 1. And you'll select your option on your option selection page, whether you're going to do update your old RFA or whether you're going to do this new package, and then your actual application. When you open up the RFA application, you will notice it's a Word document, and you can just fill those in. You'll need to make sure that you have all of the information included in it and that you follow those instructions very carefully to make sure that all of the required information is submitted to us. Now, do we have any questions?
Hi, Laura, this is Peter. Thank you so much for your work. on this. The question I have is if our agencies choose to use the 2021 form moving forward in the upcoming RFAs, do you foresee that they'll be able to continue to use that form, or will you move solely to the new form after this year?
You know, Peter, it's really early to answer that, but our intention in doing that this year was because we want it to be a fluid document, and we're really trying to just make it more concise and easier for folks. So I don't have a preference one way or the other. It's more about what makes the most sense. We recognize that each agency is an individual agency and they need what works for them. And so, you know, at this point, we're doing it this way because we want to be flexible for them. So I would just say right now, this is the direction we're going, and we're going to continue to be as flexible as possible.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is Shanna Tolan from Youth Services of Tulsa. Could you clarify the difference between like the data mapping table 4 and then the other one, the program one, like the goals and objectives? Is that kind of what RF21 was, but just kind of split up rather than together now?
Let me pull them so we can look at them together. I think that might make it easier.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just give me a minute to pull it out. Okay, so now we were looking at data mapping for table 4, and I'm going to put it over here. And so you were asking me, what is the difference between table 4 and then which table?
Then the table 5.
Okay, sure. So so here's table 4, and if you'll notice, it's talking about data mapping. You're listing your risk and protective factor, your indicators, and how.
And so is that for the whole agency? That's not by program?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is that for the whole agency, or is that by program? This data?
So kind of think of it as this is a process. So at this point, when you're doing this, you're really looking at all of your data and you're mapping what are those risk and protective factors that you're seeing, and you're trying to narrow it down to your programming. So it's your overall, and then you're prioritizing through this process to the next table 5. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other questions that I can help you all with this morning?
Laura, this is Christy McAllister.
Hi, Christy.
With the due date being the 29th of May, are we supposed to build our budget around our last grant cycle since we don't know if we'll have new dollars?
Yeah, so right now we're going to go with our last year's budget. So think about it that way, especially since it's not the end of the legislative session yet. And we'll make adjustments accordingly and ask you all to do the same if there needs to be an update.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I got it on this one.
Do we have any more questions?
It was very technical. Oh, yeah. I forgot about her.
Laura, I have one more question. So since,
I don't know why.
you know, with Tulsa, since the fiscal year isn't over yet, and like we use last year's fiscal numbers, like should we do fiscal numbers up to like April 1st, or what would you recommend in regards to like pulling numbers for this fiscal year?
You know, I think it's really looking at for you, you know, for me, when I do my strategic planning, I just try to take the most recent 12 months, last 4 quarters of data, just so that I have a good 4 quarters. Whatever you choose to use, just make sure you're doing it consistently when you do your strategic planning from period to period. So however you do it, I'm okay as long as you stay consistent. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other questions?
Somebody, see if anybody has any more questions.
Well, I will continue to stay on in case questions come up. And again, this is recorded. And then we will post it to the OJA website. We will also be available this afternoon from 3 to 4. And that will also be posted to the OJA website. Feel free to stay on the call if you'd like to drop off, whatever you want to do. But please let us know if there's anything we can do. We appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing your RFAs and stepping into this new contract period. As a reminder, just when you see your contracts come through, we want to try to get those moving as quickly as possible this year, so that we don't have any gaps in services. And I just want to thank everybody for being here and for working with us as partners this year.
So I guess it was nothing more than just.
Thank you, Laura.
people have
You're
questions.
welcome, Lisa.
Hi, Laura. It's Beth Svetlik with YST.
Yes.
I just put a question in the chat, but I joined late, so I apologize if you already answered something like this. But on the table 1, the plan timeline on the new one,
Yes.
what are you looking for in the progress outcome section?
So progress outcomes, some of it will be, some of it you won't have yet, because think of this as a 3-year period, right? So
Okay.
this is 25 of the 3-year period. And then you'll see 25, and then you'll see 26, and then 27. So, so we recognize that. If you've already seen it though, and you're building on from last year, then you may already see some progress, especially if it's a continuation of a program that you've been doing from the previous period. And then you would put that progress and maybe outcomes to the baseline that you had from the previous year.
So there may be outcomes. There may be outcomes on this table 1 that are similar to outcomes listed in table 5.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, there could be.
Okay. So there could be like a duplication potentially there. I just wanted to make sure we were looking at that right,
Yeah.
or if it needed to be something different.
There could be, and I'm trying to think, let me think if there's an example. There could, hypothetically, there could be. I don't think it's always the case, but if you have a long-standing program, say like FTOP, or maybe even some of your TLP programming, then yeah, you might see that.
Okay.
And Greg Shannon, I see your question about you want to make sure that we're using all of the forms on the website, even if we're continuing the former CATs. So yes, you can use all of the okay, so if you're continuing the former CATs, you can continue those tables that you originally used. Originally I said update all of those tables from the previous year. If you really, really, really like these tables better than what you had with the CATs process, I'm going to kind of go back and say, go ahead and update those and use those. There was a lot of collaboration that occurred in updating these tables and removed some repetition that I think brought confusion previously. So if you do that, we'll be okay with that. So feel free, if you look at those tables, you go, okay, this makes more sense in our needs assessment process, and you want to do that, the updated tables, I'm fine with that. And I'll post that, I'll update that to the questions and answers when we post this.
Hey, Laura, on Beth's question about the table 5, the outcomes.
Yeah.
I think in the previous RFA, we almost approached that as expected outcomes, like a 2% increase year over year or something like that. So you're saying we don't necessarily have to do that? Just want to be clear for consistency on
No,
that.
let's pull it and just make sure, Peter, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure that I don't guide people wrong. So I appreciate you.
So fiscal year 2025 on table 5 is going to be your baseline data. So that's what you're going to put there. You'll update these tables with each renewal contract for each program funded under the CBYS contract. Let's also verify.
The section that was mentioned about the outcomes in the 2021 RFA, we put expected outcomes on that, but I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Okay, I'm going to pull it and just check it. Or check
I
the, I always go to the guidance manual because I think that's probably the best way to do it. And that link is in the Word document, which is the actual application for the new one.
Certainly.
So let me pull it.
Laura, while you're pulling that, I wanted to ask another quick question. If our agencies chose to update the 2021 RFA, just to expedite the process so that they could get it submitted in on time with everything they do, would it be fair to say that if they wanted to, over the next year, they can migrate their information over to the new forms and have that? Would you say that would be okay, or is there a hard one or the other situation?
I think it would be appropriate for year 2 to do that, like in a continuation type thing. But that you have to think the 2021, when they update that actually becomes a part of their contract. And so they wouldn't be able, they would have to kind of stay with that for year 1. But we could then they could update it throughout year 1 and migrate over to it year 2.
Sure. Okay.
And Kevin Clegg, I think, is on this call. If contractually speaking, if I'm misspeaking, maybe he can add to that.
No, you're correct, Laura, that document will become part of the contract. If an agency feels that very strongly that they want to update those tables, then we could do a modification of the contract and then switch those documents out. So if you feel that it better reflects your program, I think we could work through that, and just let us know, and we'll figure out a way to get it changed.
Thank you both for that.
So Peter, I'm going to go back and take a look. I think to answer your question, I'm not finding it readily available. So I may need to go back and take a look at the previous RFAs, or I'm leaning on just basing it on what's in the 2022 or in the 2025.
Okay.
Using that as baseline data.
Is that in reference to the baseline data on table 5? Or are you talking about?
Yeah, Beth, are you talking about the new RFA or the 2021?
New.
Yeah. So for 5, the table 5, for 2025, you'll put your baseline data there, and then you'll update it for each year after.
And then for table 1, then you're just looking at, like, when you say progress or outcome, it's just kind of what's the status of this particular step, not necessarily a data point.
Right.
Okay. because I was thinking outcome, like it needed a data point
Let me.
on it, but it's more just an update of where you're at, a status update.
Yeah, let me pull it. So I'm looking at it with you because I'm still looking for that other question, but let me. Hold on. And you said table 1, Beth? in the
Yes.
Timeline. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you're looking at progress and outcome. Okay.
Mhm.
So on that one, it's just as you're going through the process of preparing your actual needs assessment process. So my guess is a lot of this stuff you all are doing ongoing. And so you may already have your convene your planning team. And you could say, completed, ongoing, meets quarterly, whatever it is. Same, that's how you're going to respond to each of those questions.
That at some point, cats.
Okay, that makes sense.
Option,
That helps
not
clear that up. Thank you.
mandatory. Yes.
Do we have any other questions this morning that I can help you all with? I appreciate your patience as we move through the questions and try to sort them out. Greg, I see your comment that you were looking at the 2021 RFA and you did table 1 and the goals, then table 2. You can just update those and submit them if you would like. If you find that over the last 3 years, you've had some new programming come up and maybe it looks a little different than what you had in 2021, just keep in mind that you can add those programming still to your process because we know that needs change over time, right? So you would just update those plans, add your new programming, and you would show how your risk and community need changed. And so then you would show those new goals, those new objectives, and what the baseline data was, and what led to that programming. So that's how you would update your plan. And keep in mind on the Word document of the new RFA and in your 2021 RFA, there is a guidance manual that you can click on that can help answer some questions as well. There's also the instruction guide for the new RFA that kind of says instructions for each document that hopefully those will also answer questions or kind of trigger conversations that you've had about them. Those are also options and hopefully tools that help support what you're doing. Dr. Sherry's question is, if we are updating for clarification, is it just table 1 and 2 that we update for submission? Dr. Sherry, we will, if we have not already, we can pull your 2021 application and get that to you so that you can see what needs to be updated. It'll have everything with it, and we'll get that sent over to you so you can see exactly what needs to be updated. Greg, I appreciate the feedback on the simplifying the process. We sure have learned a lot, I think, in the last couple of years and what needs to be done. And I appreciate everybody working together to get the process simplified and easier for everyone. You are welcome, Dr. Sherry, and I will also put it in writing on exactly what needs to be submitted once I pull everything, and we'll make sure it gets posted to the website as well. As we are nearing the top of the hour, I want to thank you all for joining us today. We will be on again at 3 o'clock this afternoon. If you want to join us again, you're more than welcome to. And again, I will post these to the OJA website. And we'll get questions that, everything written up as well. So we look forward to seeing you at 3 o'clock. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.